Morning, it's Tuesday, it's the 8th of March, and I just wanted to bring something to people's attention. It's a Kaiser report from Russia Today. So Kaiser reports on all of the dodgy banking that goes on in the world, and likes to try and tell people the truth, unlike the BBC. You need to watch Russia Today, because you're just not going to get this kind of information on the BBC, ITV, Channel 4, or any other paid-for media. The Zionist media is what I call it, because it's all paid for. It's all telling you what they want you to think. It's telling you it's heavily biased in favour of staying in the EU, even though, you know, obviously we're meant to be being offered a vote. But you'll notice recently papers, even some television programs have gone in and, you know, tried to scaremonger people into staying in the EU. And we know that the politicians are corrupt because of the LIBOR fix and all this, that and the other. But this particular Kaiser report really pricked my ears up, and I want you to just sit and listen and leave some comments about it if you like. I'm not interested in negative comments from retards that are trying to, you know, scaremonger me into thinking, oh, look, the establishment's watching. I couldn't give a fuck if they're watching anyway, to be honest. Yeah, you want to arrest me, arrest me. Don't give a shit. Yeah, that will just raise more suspicion, more awareness. Don't care, yeah? So I just want you to have a little listen and just learn about what our beloved Chancellor George Osborne has really been up to. This is about RBS, the bank that the taxpayer owns. We bailed it out to the tune of billions. I can't remember the figure, but it was billions. And basically, ever since we bailed it out, it's done nothing but make losses. And not only that, but Osborne sold, I think it was 75% of the shares off or something, like to that tune, for dirt cheap money, so that we could get no capital return. The taxpayer, that is, obviously. So, in effect, we've bailed out a bank, and then all of that money that we've given has just now been lost in losses. It's genius. Alright, but this is how corrupt society is. This is how corrupt the politicians are. And I just think you should watch Russia Today. So I'm just going to shut up now, and I'm going to sit and play this to you.
It's law. Like, he had the concrete club, and that, which is all the crime families ruled the concrete business in Manhattan and New Jersey, that whole area. Technically, it was all legal. So this is what.
And watch how glitchy the channel is as well.
Family. So I'm going to look at some headlines here regarding Royal Bank of Scotland, because they were in the news. They announced their annual report just last Friday, and the shares dumped 10% because there was a £2 billion loss. But here's some of the headlines over the past year, which led up to these losses for the past 8 years. Royal Bank of Scotland facing yet another hefty fine for financial market rigging. That was ISDAFIX rigging. That's the global derivatives market. LIBOR scandal. RBS fined £390 million. That's just by one of the regulators. LIBOR is, of course, global interest rates, trillions of dollars in a market. Forex scandal. Barclays, HSBC, and RBS agreed to £600 million fine for exchange rigging. Now, of course, like the Concrete Club, this is also goes hand in hand with this RBS, these repeated RBS headlines. Crooked currency traders face jail. Chancellor to make Forex, oil, and gold price rigging new criminal offenses from next April. So that was in 2014. So technically, a lot of this stuff they've done and that we're going to talk about for the rest of the episode, technically they were legal, just like the Concrete Club was legal.
He's going to make these offenses illegal starting April. He said that last year.
Yeah, so in April 2015, they became illegal.
Right, okay. So these things were illegal beforehand. Osborne is condoning illegal behavior. There's something legal about it.
Allegedly he was, because, like, to you and I, so of course, you know, Carlo Gambino, by the way, he tried to turn the Gambino crime family into a legit operation in the 80s, and of course, the banking scandals erupted from the 80s at the same time. The Gambinos wanted to get into white-collar crime. We see it's been a very lucrative business, and technically, allegedly, nothing has been illegal.
Yeah, but I don't see how we can let this slide. In other words, when the bankers write the laws...
There you go.
...under Osborne, okay, therefore, we cannot say that they're not breaking the law in a just society. Unless you want to say that a suicide bomber who kills people when they blow themselves up is not breaking the law according to the law as they understand it.
Okay.
So this is a suicide banker.
Well, let's go into the contents of what RBS said in their annual report.
Yes.
So remember that they were bailed out by the taxpayer in 2008 after all these things that a normal person might call fraud, which the chancellor said was misconduct. All the misconduct led to a collapse of the bank, £45.5 billion bailout from the taxpayer, 73% still owned by the taxpayer, and RBS pays chief executive Ross McEwen £3.8 million as it reports £2 billion loss. Now, part of the loss is caused by $3.5 billion that they paid in charges for bad conduct. According to the report, they call it bad conduct.
How glitchy it is. It's the only channel that's like it.
Technically, it was bad conduct to trying to rig the concrete market and force all construction sites to use their concrete. But here's a quote that's remarkable. In legal warnings, it outlined a string of potential worries going forward, including an ongoing court case from investors who backed a cash call before its 2008 taxpayer bailout, court cases in the U.S. involving LIBOR rigging, cases accusing the bank of funding terrorists, and the risk of court cases for business customers sold interest rate swaps. It also disclosed it would be writing to customers later this year to establish if they had been missold pension and insurance products. So you're talking in the second half to somebody who is one of these customers who was missold pension swaps, interest rate swaps. But it's funny that they're having to write to the customers and say, did we defraud you? We defrauded so many. Oh, we misconducted against so many that we don't know who we misconducted against.
Oh, it's replete throughout the entire banking sector here in the UK. This kind of conduct, which is illegal according to the norms of society, and it makes no economic sense. I mean, I was just reading about this bachelor party on Ryanair, these British people, you know, getting naked, getting drunk, and you're thinking to yourself, my God, if that plane crashed and it was full of bankers from RBS, would we be crying or would we be applauding? Because you can't have a society where you have financial terrorists and Osborne letting them run amok throughout your economy. There's no sympathy for this. I mean, I don't.
So a lot of these crimes, of course, happen after.
These are the RBS is the Jimmy Sapple of banking, essentially.
Okay. Let's look at some of the other aspects to this story. Here they're warning against as I said, the LIBOR rigging, funding terrorists, financial crimes, but unless the Department of Justice goes after them and actually sues them, imprisons them, it's technically not illegal.
But there is no Department of Justice.
So a tweet from the Times Business Journal says RBS warns of risk of regulatory fines, potential compensation scheme costs, and legal action ahead of publication of the FCA's GRG report. So the GRG, we've talked about that, the Global Restructuring Group. That's another story we've been covering over the past few years. We have a friend, Neil Mitchell. He is one of those whose company was destroyed by the GRG group, he alleges. He's suing them for that. So there's a pattern here that if I were the likes of, say, Rudy Giuliani, looking at these patterns, I would think it's like, you know, a Gambino crime family.
Yes, it is. It is a pattern of organized crime and racketeering under the watchful eye of UK politicians and regulators who condone this.
Yes.
Why would there be a collusion between Osborne, Cameron, regulators, and Royal Bank of Scotland and these other banks? Why does that exist?
Because in the New World
Unless
Order.
they're brought up to be part of
An agenda.
a circle of predatory
Elite.
psychopaths that are, and of course the BBC is part of this as well. They can not only do they condone the financial disenfranchisement and disembowelment of a country, and at the same time, Osborne brings in these austerity policies in order to create massive hardship. Unless it's part of a.
So let's look at what the taxpayer is going to suffer
Yeah,
for this,
well, I
because
mean,
they own
yeah.
73% of the bank. They bailed them out to the tune of 45.5 billion pounds. Since they bailed them out, the bank has lost 50 billion pounds more. So they've lost. They've lost every single year for the past 8 years. They reported losses. So the headline from Zero Hedge reads, "Bailed out RBS faces shareholder revolt as capital return plans delayed indefinitely." So, you know, the new chairman, Ross McEwen, he had been trying to have some sort of dividends, but he's unable to do that because of the continued losses and all of the lawsuits faced from America. So I have some charts here slipping away. After almost reaching its bailout price last year, RBS has fallen well below it. So this is the bailout price that the British taxpayer bought the bank at. That's 407p. It's now down at 220p.
Look at that graph. There you go.
You're not going to change the British character. I mean, this is what the DNA of the Druid DNA, the stock, the chromosomal stock of a British person is predisposed to committing massive fraud, just like they are predisposed to getting naked on airplanes, drunk, and defecating on themselves. You're not going to change it overnight. There's no rule of law. There's no rule of law. It's just, that's the way British people are.
So again,
I find that kind of offensive, actually, Max.
They continue to
There you go.
maintain that one day they might make their money back. What have Brits gotten in return, you ask? This is the FTSE 100. What it has done since the British taxpayer bailed out Royal Bank of Scotland. Here's the bank sector. Since the taxpayer bailed out Royal Bank of Scotland, and here's Royal Bank of Scotland, their shares have declined. Now, I also want to turn to the fact that the chairman, Sir Howard Davies, said, "I do believe there is at the core of this a good, profitable bank." He said that while it was impossible to know if the government would get all its money back, it will get quite a lot back. So that's wishful thinking from the chairman. He's basically doesn't want the taxpayer to pull the plug.
Here's the penalty for RBS is put on these kinky handcuffs, and the chancellor will give you a spanky on your naked bottom.
Yes.
That's the penalty, because you're a bunch of perverts and sickos in this country.
Okay, finally, I want to turn to the actual tweet from Royal Bank of Scotland the day of their earnings report, their annual earnings report on Friday, when they reported losses of £2 billion.
Anyway, I couldn't care about the tweet, so as I couldn't really care about the tweet, I just thought I'd stop there, because you know, essentially it was meant to be a fairly quick video to explain to you that Osborne is never ever going to be fit for our Prime Minister, okay? He's a corrupt little eaten weasel, okay? That's what he is. He told the public we have to bail the banks out. We bail the banks out, and ever since, that one bank, RBS, Royal Bank of Scotland, has continued to make losses, purposefully. And I tell you why, because that's why they've been purposefully found out to be rigging, for their own profit, right? They rig for their own profit. They pay out the top people in their bonuses and then report the losses of, you know, whatever it is, 50 billion. So essentially, what they've done is they've just robbed us of a shitload of money under the guise of we need to bail the bank out. And, you know, Gerald Salente was right. 4 words: too big to fail. You know, that's the problem here, yeah? And the other problem is obviously the Zionist politicians, which are basically puppets for the bank. You heard Max say that the banks are writing laws via George Osborne. He's the one who's got the power to write the law. And when they're doing fraud and committing you know, atrocities against humanity, and when they're raping people's accounts and raping the GOYIM, raping the Gentiles, you know, and it's blatantly fraud. And if we went out and did that, we would be locked up and the key would be thrown away. Well, no, we'll make that illegal next year and we'll just give you a little spank on the wrist. That is what is going on, alright? We, the people, need to start thinking about opening this and not being afraid anymore, because I tell you now, we're getting to a point where it's getting a bit totalitarian, if I'm honest. Yeah, you know, look at the EU propaganda on all the channels. Yeah, they're scaremongering people into staying in the EU, like getting banks that are saying, oh, you know, well, we'll take our business elsewhere if you leave the EU. You got stupid, idiotic Green Party politicians and that fucking ugly bitch from Scotland. What is her damn name? She's a right little weasel. She does the Scottish Independent Party or whatever it is. I can't remember her bloody name now. But anyway, she's named after a fish, and she looks like it as well. Like really does look like a fish. Saying, oh, you know, the people. So you got the person from the Green Party. Yeah, the people of Britain should see that the open door migration policy is nothing but beneficial. Really? Have you seen Germany? Have you seen France? Yeah, now they started bulldozing the jungle down in Calais. Just bulldozing it down, making the people homeless. That's how much of a real shit they give about this humanitarian crisis. Yeah, they're just going to bulldoze them out and force them back onto the streets and out of the little huts. They don't want people keeping warm in a little wooden hut. That's too much to give them. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I hope that you start watching a bit of Russia Today. Despite the glitchiness, you saw all the glitches there. It is the only channel that is that glitchy. Every other channel works perfectly fine, and that's obviously because they don't want people to watch it. They want people to get pissed off with the glitchiness and just turn it off. And that way they don't have to actually physically shut the channel down, which would look really suspicious. You know, and turn off people's unbiased information. Alright, so start watching Russia Today. Watch the Kaiser Report. It's quite funny. Well, it's very informative and it's sometimes funny. I like Max's reactions. Anyway, God bless you. Remember that the message needs to be for everyone. Let's unite all religion and all faith, yeah? Regardless of what you feel about each other, let's unite about our against our real common enemy, and that is the Zionists. All right, just read the protocols of the learned elders of Zion. Yeah, you'll see what's going on. It's meant to be anti-Semitic, it's very pro-Semitic, it's an absolute. It's just the propaganda that exists is crazy. Look up Agenda 21, dumbing down of society using fluoride. Filter your water. That's it. Filter the fluoride out of your water. Filter the other harmful heavy metals that are in there. Yeah. Sodium fluoride. There's a big lie about it that dentists have been told to tell people that, oh, a little bit of fluoride is really good for your bones and for your teeth. It's an absolute lie. It's like the second most toxic chemical on the planet. If you're looking rat poison, sodium fluoride. You're looking weed killers, sodium fluoride. All right. Fluoride is not good to ingest. It dumbs you down, it fucks with your sexual organs and stops you from being able to reproduce. So just please start sourcing your information from other places, not the BBC. Don't believe what the papers tell you. Don't believe what the ITV Channel 4, BBC, definitely not the BBC. They even got a mention on the Kaiser Report. So get your information from anywhere but the controlled Zionist media. And God bless you all. Thanks for subscribing. Really appreciate my subscribers and lots of love to you. And let's unite against the Zionists. Yeah, because they control the Muslim terrorists that we're meant to be all, you know, so fearful about because, oh, you know, that's the common enemy, yeah, the worldwide common enemy. They're going to try and go to World War III off the back of terrorism, by the way. So I just wish you all the best of good luck. All right, cheers, thanks, bye, thanks.